Hello, and welcome to this short input on understanding and supporting resilience in the context of COVID-19. This is part of the rollout of the nationally developed Wellbeing for Education Return Package, a series of training and resources intended to support education staff to promote the well-being and resilience of children and young people and the wider school community to aid recovery in light of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. My name is Steph and I am an educational psychologist working within Salford. Co-delivering with me today is Hannah, who is an educational psychologist working in Tameside. You may have attended the Wellbeing for Education Return training that was delivered in the autumn term 2020. These slides formed part of that training. This video stands alongside 5 other videos covering key sections from the training, which are wellbeing frameworks, anxiety and low mood, staff wellbeing, bereavement and loss, and stress and trauma. Please do have a look at these. There are also drop-ins planned for the spring term of 2021, covering topics relevant to your local area. So what do we mean by resilience? What we know is that resilience and well-being are linked together. Well-being improves as resilience increases. Well-being then helps learning and growth, that then leads to increases in resilience. We need to be clear on what we are speaking about when we are using the term resilience, so we have a shared understanding. Resilience means more than well-being. It is about the capacity to recover quickly in the face of difficulties and then coping well. The capacity to bounce back from adversity. Increased resilience then strengthens a whole school or college community, providing the person, child, adult, and whole community with a sense that they are emotionally stronger when faced by stresses.
Resilience arises from learning and growth, and when we are more resilient, we tend to have more well-being. Resilience comes as a complicated interaction between nature, which is what we are born with, and nurture, what we grow up with, and events, what happens to us. We know that resilience is a dynamic concept, and we can nurture more resiliences. Schools and colleges have a large part to play in what happens to each child and their family. A whole school college approach builds on understanding and supporting each child's uniqueness and their individual differences, what they've experienced in their family and their community, and what they were born with. A predictor of resilience is attachment. Our environment and early life experiences affect our attachment relationships. Positive attachments in early life affect how we view the world and our ability to be resilient. It is through these early relationships that we develop self-efficacy and we learn to identify and regulate our emotions. Having positive relationships with key adults who can help us to manage stress and challenge builds resilience and increases the idea that we have control and we can succeed. Key things for adults to remember. Not all stress is harmful. There are numerous opportunities in every child's life to experience manageable stress. And with the help of supportive adults, this positive stress can be growth promoting. Over time, we become better able to cope with life's obstacles and hardships, both physically and mentally. We develop our resilience. The brain and other biological systems are most adaptable early in life, yet while their development lays the foundation for a wide range of resilient behaviours, it is never too late to build resilience.
When we think about building resilience, we can think about resilience in relation to risk and protective factors. Resilience can be seen as a seesaw, one side being the risk factors and the other side being the protective factors. And the aim is for these to be balanced, or hopefully to have more protective factors. Evidence and research has shown that it's possible to identify the factors that have an impact on children's emotional well-being. Risks can be specific to the child, their family, their environment, including school, and life events. Some of examples of risk factors might be experiences of loss or separation, which can include bereavement, but also loss of friendships, especially in adolescence, and family breakdown, which results in the child having to live elsewhere. Life changes, for example, the birth of a sibling, moving house, or changing schools. And also traumatic events, such as abuse, violence, accidents, injuries, war, or natural disaster. Some children, against all the odds, develop into confident, competent, and caring adults. A key, therefore, to the promotion and recovery of children's emotional well-being is an understanding of the protective factors that make children and young people resilient. We can introduce protective factors into children and young people's lives. School can act as a protective factor despite challenging circumstances and can help to offset some of the risk factors through applying nurturing principles. Some examples of protective factors that schools might put in place include developing positive relationships, creating a sense of belonging and connectedness, celebrating achievements or using praise, and providing routine and structure. There is a complex interplay between risk factors in children's lives and promoting their resilience. As disadvantage and stressful events accumulate for a child or young person, then more protective or resilient factors are needed to counterbalance these. Children and young people are very capable of learning the skills that it takes to become more resilient. The table on this slide illustrates 6 examples of how education staff can support well-being and build resilience. On the left-hand side column are the actions that are available to staff, and on the right-hand side column are the underpinning psychological concepts. These are the building blocks of resilience. Each is part of being or becoming more resilient. Social support, for example, support from adults in school, is another critical variable that contributes to resilience. People demonstrating resilience tend to have the support of people around them who help bolster them up in times of trouble. Staff in schools can support everyone's unique circumstances and provide validation for the different experiences of groups and individuals. Staff in schools can also ensure that we include children and young people, their parents, carers and families to support feelings of empowerment in our local communities. Education staff can provide a space for creative and physical activity, reflection and recognition, which contribute to self-expression and self-confidence. Holding a positive view of themselves and their abilities is an important factor related to children and young people's resilience. These can be initially reflected by the adults around a child until they become internalised. Staff can focus on rebuilding trust, re-establishing feelings of safety, and focusing on relationship building as initial small steps to building resilience. We can also support children and young people to find new ways to play during the pandemic. This helps by relieving stress, supporting the expression of emotions and feelings, fostering imagination, and promoting sharing and creativity. Adults can also help by focusing on what children and young people can do. This provides hope and a sense of control. Adults who strengthen these skills in themselves can better model healthy behaviours for their children, improving the resilience of the next generation.
We've covered how we learn through interactions and the relationships around us, and that's why every interaction matters. We encourage the development of resilience, not just through specific interventions, but through every small interaction that we have. Every day, everyone in school is modelling and teaching resilience.
Thank you for listening to our short input on resilience. Please have a look at our other videos on this website for more information about how to support children and young people during the current COVID-19 pandemic.